Oklahoma took care of business this weekend with some of the top recruits in the country looking on. On3 did a major rankings update, and I got 5 names I got on Flip Watch. Welcome to the Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Josh Newberg. First up, national recruiting analyst Sam Spiegelman. Sam, big visit weekend at Oklahoma just wrapped up. Sooners got the win. What is the scoop coming out of Norman on some of the top prospects that were in town?
Yeah, well, it was a colossal weekend for Oklahoma, and right now the buzz has been a little bit quiet, but quiet I think in this particular situation is pretty because we have some big names that they had on campus. We know that they got a big commitment from a California defensive lineman, Ashton Sanders. Oklahoma under Brent Venables is trying to create a California pipeline, so there's a lot of good buzz in that area as Oklahoma not only tries to finish strong in 2023, but start making noise in 2024 and so on. And I think Oklahoma is doing that, and obviously the two biggest names in attendance are David Hicks Jr., 5-star safety Peyton Bowen. Both are 5 stars from the state of Texas, and right now I'm not ready to say either one is going to wind up in Oklahoma's class, but Oklahoma is in it, certainly for both of them. David Hicks Jr. was on his official visit, so he was in Norman as from Friday to Sunday, so he's getting back to town this weekend, and he's going to have a long week to mull over what just happened. And from talking to people close to Peyton Bowen, the longtime Notre Dame commitment, just like when he came back from South Bend, it's been very quiet on his front, but people close to his recruitment said another positive visit. Jackson Arnold, his 5-star teammate, was with him. That always looms large. It was a big recruiting weekend, and the guys that are sitting well with Oklahoma, David Stone, Nigel Smith, Jaden Hardy, you start to momentum building in 2023 and also in that 2024 class.
Yeah, what effect does 5-star QB Jackson Arnold have in recruiting when he's on campus for a visit weekend like this?
Well, I think, if you look at the way that the Oklahoma staff is constructed with Brent Venables and Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis, it's a defensive player's dream come true. Jay Valai coaching the secondary, he's coached at Texas and Alabama. If you're a defensive player and you're looking at Oklahoma, it's a way different perspective than a few years ago with Lincoln Riley. But when you have Jeff Levy and you have 5-star Jackson Arnold, leading the way with the recruiting, I mean, I joke with Jackson, he has a GIF with Levy and the Jordan logo. It's hilarious, but it's going to work. People are going to want to play with the elite level quarterbacks the same way we talked about with Arch Manning and Nico for Tennessee. Great players want to play with great quarterbacks. Great skill players do. Great linemen want to protect for them. I think Jackson, if you watch him on Friday nights, he has his play style speaks for itself, but off the field, he has an infectious personality. He's a leader. He has been for Denton Guyer for 4 years. And when he gets to Oklahoma, I don't expect that to change. So I think having, Jackson Arnold on he's there every weekend. He's always recruiting for Norman. So when you're talking about 2 more Texas guys and DJ Hicks and Peyton Bowen, one of which he's known his entire life, they're from the same county. You have to like that if you're Oklahoma trying to finish strong here.
Definitely. Let's move on from Norman. We have a major commitment coming up. Texas 4-star On3 defensive lineman prospect Johnny Bowen announces his decision on Thanksgiving. Texas A&M has a big lead on the recruiting prediction machine. Is this a layup for the Aggies, or has their season mucked things up for them in Bowen's recruitment?
Yeah, I like the way you use mucked, and certainly going into Thursday, I think Texas A&M, the RPM might be a little bit misleading. You have to remember last year at this time he committed to Texas A&M and probably has been leaning that way ever since. That changed when Oregon got into the mix, and now Texas has become a quiet contender for Johnny Bowens, right out of the San Antonio area in Converse Judson. Right now, I think Oregon is the team to beat. He's a quiet kid. He keeps things very close to the vest. He's coming off a visit to Texas after 2 visits to Oregon. Still, I don't think Texas is in this. It's just too late, a little bit too late with that November 21st decision date. Oregon has built up a really good foundation with a lot of Texas players, and with Texas A&M slipping, I think it's opened the door for a lot of out-of-state schools like Oregon that's, coming off, is running high in the Pac-12 and has Dan Lanning looking like he's turning the program around. And I think that might be the difference between them and A&M, which is a completely different story than this time a year ago.
Yeah, Oregon really playing well right now. We'll see what happens there. Do you know if he's going to decide before or after he eats Thanksgiving meal?
That's a great question. Now, considering his position, Josh, I'm going to go after, but that I could be completely wrong. I have no sound reason for my pick.
All right. Well, we'll tune into On3. We'll have all the developments there. Sam, TCU is playing like one of the best teams in the country. Will they recruit like one of them as well?
I think they already are. They got a commitment over the weekend, a long time coming. If you've been following the On3 recruiting prediction machine, we've been pointing that Marcus Deal and TCU gaining steam with the talented top 100 offensive line prospect for several months at this point, and they finally reeled him in after another big victory over Baylor this weekend. And TCU is a playoff contender, and they're recruiting like it. And this is the first of, I think, a couple of big dominoes that TCU is hoping for. Between now and next month's early signing period. I think they're in a great spot with On 300 athlete Mikhail Harrison Pilot. They were fighting Texas and Oklahoma and Houston at different junctures. But I think TCU is the team to beat moving forward for Harrison Pilot. They're in a great spot. Randon Fontenot is an On 300 safety from Brazosport. They compare him to Marcel Brooks, who's one of those hybrid safety linebackers that TCU is employing so well right now on their defense. And I think if he was committed to Utah. He backed off that commitment when TCU offered. He's been on campus quite a bit. Again, he's still playing in the playoffs, but after, I like where TCU stands whenever he makes his decision. And Garrett Riley, the offensive coordinator at TCU, has continued to maintain dialogue with On 300 Baylor commit Austin Novosad. Austin, also still playing in the Texas high school football playoffs, has reaffirmed his commitment to Baylor, but TCU isn't going away. That might be one of the more interesting storylines to follow as we get into December.
All right, Sam, thanks for checking in on the Inside Scoop. See you soon.
Thanks for having me. Happy Thanksgiving, Josh.
All right, you too, my man. See ya. The 2023 On3 player rankings have been updated. The big news in today's ranking update is the addition of 3 new 5-stars to the list. The total number of prospects ranked as 5 stars by On3 is now up to 26. Let's check in with Director of Scouting and Rankings for On3, Charles Power. Charles, tell us about these newly minted 5-stars.
Yeah, so like you said, we have 3 new 5-stars. The highest ranked one right now is Jackson Arnold, the quarterback committed to Oklahoma. He rises up to number 12 overall. Has had a phenomenal senior season at Denton Guyer in Texas, playing in Texas's highest classification. Just really shredding the competition, Josh. I mean, he's having a great senior year, doing it with his arm, doing it with his legs, playing very efficiently. We knew Jackson Arnold had one of the better arms in this cycle after seeing him in person at the Elite 11 finals and at Future 50 as well. But it's just really put it together and made that progression you want to see a top quarterback make as a senior. Just really left no doubt in our mind that he's a 5-star, has showed up in big games, and is primed to take Denton Guyer on a deep playoff run. So after Jackson Arnold, we have tight end Duce Robinson out of Phoenix, uncommitted tight end. We thought Duce is the top tight end prospect in the cycle, really for the majority of the cycle, and it's kind of clearly the top tight end. The biggest thing with him was just kind of clearing that hurdle, which for us is a pretty high bar of being a 5-star tight end. It's not a position where you see a ton of first-round draft picks, so we are very particular about what kind of constitutes a 5-star tight end for us. And Duce, I think, answered any kind of questions we would have had about him heading into the season. Just very productive. He's got over 1,000 yards, 10+ touchdowns. I think what stands out the most to me is just unique movement skills for the position. I think when you look at tight end, it's just the ability to separate, pick up yards after the catch, and he can do that. I mean, just to paint a picture, it's not every day you see a 6'6" tight end returning punts for touchdowns. That's what he did this year. So we saw him in person catch I would say maybe hundreds of passes at the Elite 11 finals, just kind of running routes for those quarterbacks there. So we kind of knew his route running skills and just the movement ability heading into the season, but he transferred that over to Friday nights and was really really phenomenal as a pass-catching tight end. I think he'll need to continue to progress physically in terms of being an online or an inline tight end, but just from the passing mismatch perspective, he's the clear top tight end in the cycle to us, and he checks in at number 21 overall. Following him at number 22 is LSU commit Deshaun Womack, who he was, I think, under 5-star consideration at the last update. We want to see a little more. Watching Deshaun Womack's season at St. Francis Academy playing against a national schedule, he's really dominated in several instances in showcase games, kind of taking them over as a pass rusher and a run defender. And I think when we look at his skill set, there's very few holes, in his overall game. The edge position in this cycle is very strong. There's multiple 5 stars. There's several outside of the 5-star range that could be 5 stars. For us, Deshaun Womack is maybe the highest floor player of that group in that we think he could be ready to make an instant impact at LSU and potentially start as a true freshman. And that's not common at this position, but he's that advanced and that well-rounded. When you look at his size at 6'4", 245 pounds, he has verified athleticism, running a electronically timed 4.7, and then you kind of see what he does with his pass rush polish against top competition. There's really not a whole lot that like you could really point to as huge areas for improvement for him. So he kind of just brings a little bit of everything to the table.
All right, so that brings us to 26 5 stars. Who are some of the other big movers in this update? Maybe not 5-star prospects, but guys that made big moves.
Yeah, so I think sticking with the edge position, we had a good bit of movers there. 2 guys in Texas who moved up, starting first with USC edge commit Braylan Shelby. I think when we were going through that position, Braylan Shelby just popped out with his just the physical package. This guy's 6'5", 235 pounds, has outstanding length, and just he's a great athlete, but he's also a very fluid mover. He's highly coordinated. And this is a guy who played off-ball linebacker at that size at the high school level, and they kind of put him into situational pass rush, put his hand in the dirt on passing downs, and he is highly productive in those settings. So you don't have to really squint to see Braylan Shelby, rushing the passer at full time at the college level and potentially NFL level as well. His senior video just popped in a big way, and there's really not a whole lot separating him with these other 5-star edges in our opinion. And sticking in Texas, I know a guy, Josh, that y'all have been talking about a lot with his recruitment. New Texas commit Colton Vasek, just highly polished. Colton Vasek is one that I think you could put him in to a college game right now and he would not be out of place, which with how refined he is. His dad's a D-line coach. You can see it kind of in his game. And he's really kind of been a dominant pass rusher for Austin Westlake, who is one of the top high school programs in Texas, if not the country, and averaging over a sack a game. And I've watched a couple of their games, and like high leverage moments, he comes to play. Like he has made some huge plays when they've really needed it. So he moved up into the top 100 as well, and I think that was merited kind of when you watch how he's playing on Friday night.
All right, the On3 player rankings have been updated. Make sure you go check those out. Charles, thanks for joining us today. For the final segment of the show, I want to leave you with 5 names I have on FlipWatch. First up, 4-star safety Aaron Gates, committed to the Florida Gators. This potential flip has flown quietly under the radar. Almost every day on this show, we talk about Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal duking it out on the recruiting trail. I don't think we've ever mentioned Aaron Gates on this show, though. Meanwhile, Jim Harbaugh is over there building a great relationship with him, about to flip him. Gates was back in Ann Arbor over the weekend. He's taken multiple trips to Michigan, and I think they're going to flip him. That's a developing situation worth keeping an eye on. 4-star quarterback Brock Glenn. I'm hearing Florida State is a real threat to flip the Ohio State quarterback commitment. This one is on high alert. The Seminoles don't have a QB committed in 2023, and Ohio State has the number 1 QB in the 24 class, Dylan Raiola. He's already committed to them. So Brock Glenn, maybe this week. 4-star wide receiver Anthony Evans. It feels like we've been talking about this one for a while on the Inside Scoop, but his high school season just came to an end in the playoffs over the weekend, and now it's time to put him on FlipWatch. Where is he flipping to? The defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs. That's who. The rumor started earlier this month when he showed up to Athens on a visit. He didn't flip then. Many people assumed that he wanted to make waves. He didn't want to make waves during his high school season, but now that that's over, I think it might be time for him to flip. Look for the Dogs to turn the heat up now that his season is over. One of the fastest players in the country. Everybody loves him. Let's move on to 5-star defensive lineman David Hicks. Why is he flipping? Well, he's committed to Texas A&M, and if you watched any part of their 2023 season, you would understand why schools could be coming after their top-rated commitment. Hicks was at Oklahoma this past weekend. He was at Oregon the week before, and I think things are only going to get crazier between now and December signing day. Put him on Flip Watch. 5-star offensive tackle Kadyn Proctor. The 6'6", 330-pounder is the nation's number 10 ranked player overall and number 2 ranked offensive tackle in the 23 class per the On3 consensus rankings. Although he's committed to Iowa, Proctor just took a visit to Oregon last weekend, and my guy Justin Hopkins at Scoop Duck logged a pick in the recruiting prediction machine last week, and the Ducks are having a heck of a season under Dan Lanning, his first year. There's no timetable on this one, but where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that subscribe button for me, and remember to check out all the videos on the On3 YouTube page.